Good morning everyone, welcome back to my weekly analysis, or welcome to the channel if this is your first time. I'm going to kick off the analysis here as always on the monthly, on the higher time frames. So let's get started. So just a quick analysis of where we are in price. We have our bullish leg, right, from this low to this high, from this bullish imbalance here, which created this run in price, this leg here, and then we came into this bearish imbalance here and order block, which has caused price to top out in this area here, and we look like we're having a possible pullback. We've taken buy side liquidity from previous highs, closed out with this nice high wick here, rejecting this PDA, and we have our bullish leg with our discount down below here. So within our discount we have a monthly imbalance and BPR overlapping, as well as on the quarterly we have this quarterly inverse fair value gap that was holding price here as resistance, which may later become support. Alright, so we'll go up to the quarterly in a minute just so you can see that a bit more clearer, see where that's coming from. Alright, we also have this quarterly fair value gap, which for me at the moment is the first target. Right, I do expect price to probably come down deeper towards the discount and into these zones here, because there is this order block here, right, especially on the quarterly. This is a clear order block we have, and the imbalance and inverse fair value gap to draw price and attract price to these areas, right? But first, this quarterly fair value gap. Okay, so this current monthly candle, you can see this huge bearish engulfing. We've engulfed like 3 months worth of price action. This is the last day for this candle, so it's likely to close out very bearish, but I don't think we're going to make it to this quarterly fair value gap just yet. So the scenario is we've got a monthly pullback scenario towards our discount PDAs, and a quarterly fair value gap high is being the first major PDA on that route, where I expect to see some sort of reaction. Okay, so I expect a reaction around here. So if you see on the monthly, right, we've gone below this swing low, and once we get into this zone here, we may see possibly a more significant pullback, but we'll see what price does. We have a lot of bearish momentum at the moment. So let's go up to the quarterly just for a moment, just so you can see those PDAs clearer there. So you can see this bearish imbalance here, which was used as resistance. Now we've broken above it. We may come back down to this monthly zone here, to this quarterly zone, to use this as support. You can see this huge imbalance from this fair value gap high to the low, right? So that's why that is the first target. This quarterly candle is also closing out, so this quarterly candle is a nice bearish high test candle, right? We can see that very clearly, and that's showing that bearish momentum towards this zone here. Okay, so it's a nice closure for a 3-month candle. You can see that order block there, loads of overlapping PDAs for price to be drawn towards. So just back to the monthly. So that's very clear in my opinion. Pullback scenario on the monthly. Okay, so lower time frames, it will be more of a bearish trend. So let's go down to the weekly. Let's see how the weekly looks for us. So here in the weekly, of course, if you've been watching my previous videos, right, not much has changed, but to go over this again, our weekly bearish dealing range, right, the structure of the weekly is now bearish. So if we go from this high here that we created to this low here, you can see we switch structure around this point here, right, this swing low here. So that bullish structure, this bullish dealing range from this low to this high, became a bearish dealing range once that was broken. So we've taken out both these lows here. Okay, so we've got a nice bearish dealing range there. We have left behind some bearish PDAs above, open imbalances for price to be drawn towards. Now last week that was attempted, right? The last 2 previous weeks, you can see we had some bearish momentum, possibly from the SMC here, because on DXY, price has already entered this fair value gap, this quarterly fair value gap. So we saw some reaction from there. Now it did look like price was going to be drawn at least into this fair value gap low. However, once we'll see anyway on the daily, previous bearish PDAs held price. And at the moment, it looks like we're just going to continue bearish. But there's still the possibility price is attracted to the above and could go there, but it doesn't have to. Looking currently at price, I'm not sure we will. Okay, so unless this candle starts reversing, we will see. The main message here is that the weekly aligns with that monthly outlook. The monthly outlook is obviously for a further pullback, for a bearish pullback, and the weekly is now in a bearish structure and a bearish dealing range, okay, after breaking these lows. We'll go down to the daily. We'll see what price action's in here to see if price is going to continue going lower. Alright, so here's the daily. Here's what I have. It's going to be a lot more to explain. Alright, so let's have a look. So up here we had that weekly imbalance that price did not go into. It's also overlapping with a daily imbalance. So I've just got that written there. So at the moment, it doesn't look like price is going to go there, right? We pulled back. We made some effort, made this pullback. However, price stopped here at this fair value gap and order block zone, and you can see we've been bearish ever since. So we can see all of this bearish momentum, all of the candles here for the last 4 days have been bearish candles. That order flow is in place. What I'm looking at in this area here, price did leave behind a bearish imbalance here, right? I drew this in yesterday. However, given how much we expanded on Monday yesterday, I'm not sure how much of a pullback we will get, but there is an open imbalance above that price could use if we do pull back further to then continue going bearish from. So I've got the 2 scenarios here where if you're just going to pull back within previous day candle, right, within Monday's candle, which we kind of have done already this morning, but we'll see more about that on a lower time frame. So pull back in this candle, create this top wick, and then just head for the lows. Or we could pull back further, of course, into this imbalance here and before we head lower, right? So we have an imbalance here, but it's not confirmed yet because this daily candle is obviously still open. So I hope that's not confusing or anything. And also we have this SMC from the lows. So not only has DXY completed and gone into this quarterly fair value gap, if we look, it is also already completed this target here. So it has hit its high. EU has not reached the lows. That won't stop me from trading lower if the order flow continues and the lower time frame looks good. It won't stop me looking for shorts. However, of course, that is a negative. It may signal that price wants to pull back, say, towards this imbalance here. So yeah, a lot of SMC going on, right, to this low, and also price has already made it to this low here. So they are not aligned at the moment. However, the daily is aligned with the weekly in terms of bearish order flow, bearish structure, which is aligned with the monthly, which is bearish pullback. Probability should be on our side, looking for shorts, especially if the lower time frame also is aligned with that. So we'll see on the lower time frame what price may do within this area here and how far it may pull back. Right, so let's go to the 4 hour, let's go to these lower time frames and see how that looks. So in terms of the lower time frame, you can see what we have here is like this possible market maker sell model, right? We have this buy side curve here, really nice clear price action. We was creating strong lows, we was respecting these bullish PDAs here, creating new bullish dealing ranges, pulling back, taking sell side liquidity, again creating strong lows into these bullish PDAs, and then creating new bullish dealing range structures. Price reversed, of course, right? Bit of a weak high, and this price action is not great, but the bearish pressure has held. You can see we're just respecting bearish order blocks and imbalances and stuff like that. Price just kept on trickling down. Looks very low resistance, but at this point we broke structure. Okay, so this strong low here to this high, this was our dealing range. Price has broken that low, so I can't ignore that the lower time frame is now bearish, right, with bearish order flow. It has respected these zones here and broken these lows. Okay, so currently in price on this sell side curve, we had overnight mitigated this bearish imbalance. Okay, so we've got a nice 4 hour rejection candle there. However, that was during those Asia hours overnight, so it's not the best time for respecting these PDAs, but that has happened. So it's possible price will now continue lower from here. So like I said on the daily, we may just pull somewhere back in the previous day's price range, reject that, and then continue lower. So it's very possible here from looking at the 4 hour that price is aligned, right, with this 4 hour bearish order flow, daily's bearish, weekly's bearish, to continue going lower from this zone now. As I said up here, bearish pressure and order flow is in control here on the lower time frame. It's not the prettiest compared to the buy side curve. Like I would have loved for the sell side curve to have taken this high out, broken structure around here, and made very obvious price moves like we did on this side. Another negative is DXY has already taken out the market maker sell model target here, which isn't the best, but as I said, I will follow order flow if price presents itself well on a lower time frame. So we could continue dropping from here. Previous daily low being the first target as this low here. So if we do find shorts, that would be my first main target, and then I would leave something on for these lows here as well. All right, so let's go down to the 1 hour. Let's see what that looks like, see if it agrees with the 4 hour here. So what I see here on the 1 hour, so it's a bit of a mixed picture. It's clearly bearish order flow, right? So I have no problem with that. However, we've had this mini sort of switch, even though this would be the dealing range, say from this high to this low. Internally, we've had a small switch while we was pulling back to this 4 hour bearish imbalance here, right? So we've created this sort of small internal bullish dealing range. Now price has pulled back. It's an order block with a fair value gap. Price currently is respecting that. Now I don't necessarily see this as a bad thing. So this is the Asia range, this grey box. So this is an Asia range PDA, which aren't the best, but it looks like it's showing respect so far. Okay, what I would like to see is what I've drawn out here, preferably, right, is for price to continue up, take that Asia range high, and then switch into a bearish structure to then aim for that previous daily low, right, and Asia's low. What this would do, this would create a larger market maker sell model fractal on the M15, right? So if that's not clear from this drawing, I'll just quickly draw it out. So we would then have this looking structure here, and then price could switch on the M15 and we could create that sell side curve there, right, completing that market maker sell model, right? So just like this larger model here, which is a larger lower time frame market maker sell model, right, we've got our buy side curve topped out around this zone here, and we've got our sell side curve. What I'd be looking for is a larger fractal on the M15 to be created here to look just like this one, but on the M15 / the 1 hour, giving us more risk reward, more room to play with, right, for price to make it shift. Okay, so I'm not against this holding out. You may even see on the M15, if the price action looks right, you could get a small scalp from this zone up to here, right? Because this would be, say, an M5 market maker buy model. Okay, so you would have our sell side curve here and buy side curve created on this side here. Right, so I hope that's clear. We will go down to the M15 so you can see that a bit more. So yeah, that's my preference, for price to come up and take this high and then switch into bearish order flow again. We've got that SMC on both sides, right, which I suppose cancels each other out, but it's not preferred. So everything looks good, but for the 1 hour and M15, we're slightly bullish, as you can see, and we want to be aligned bearish, preferably before taking those shorts. Okay, and this scenario here would give us the most risk reward and would probably be the best looking trade if we were to come and just take out these highs. Right, if we break down from here, that also wouldn't be too bad, but we would have low RR and we'd be quite close to this first target here, where I would want to be break even at least, right? So let's go down to the M15. Let's see how that looks for us as a possible trade today. Yeah, nothing special happening down here so far. The 1 hour closed out bullish, obviously, because prices moved upwards, but the M15, there's no momentum here. It's not like this price range here, right? It's not like this at all, where you can see that price has been displaced and the M15 order flow currently is bullish, arguably, right? Because we've broken above these highs here, pretty much a strong low here, created that dealing range high, pulled back. Now we're in this order block, but price is leaving no fair value gaps, no imbalances. There's no urgency for price to come up towards these highs. Perhaps that would change. Maybe we'll come down and take these lows again. Perhaps we'll do something like this. Come take the low during the middle of London open kill zone, sell side liquidity, and then we'll see some more momentum come into the market, clearly breaking this internal high here, and we could pull back and then head for that Asia range high. So that could be the trade scenario to look for longs, and then hopefully we would see something like this to then switch that into a market maker sell model and start looking to take out this buy side curve here, right, with our sell side curve. Okay, so I hope that's not going over your head or confusing anybody. This is that larger M15 fractal I'd be looking for, creating this buy side curve up here. We would have this here, switch, top out, and then create our sell side curve here, right, to complete that. So that's what I would be looking for. And then, as I said, this would be a market maker buy model possibly for the entry time frames, like an M5. Right, we've created that sell side curve here, and if price comes in and starts switching into that buy side curve, you could possibly trade it towards that Asia range high there. Right, so that's the two scenarios I see this morning, but the buys don't look as high probability right now with this current M15 price action. I would like to see more, and we may see this scenario come into play here. So let's see what happens. Stay vigilant, look for some high probability, good quality trades. So back to the daily, just to wrap things up, we've got the monthly as a bearish pullback, the weekly in bearish structures, aligning with the monthly for that bearish price action. We've got the daily where the bearish order flow is continuing, right? We rejected this high here, we've continued bearish from there. So all the higher time frames look aligned for further lower prices, right? Further bearish prices. The lower time frame, the 4 hour, is still bearish. Right, we've rejected that bearish PDA so far today. The 1 hour and M15 at the moment is the last steps that I'm waiting for to see. We may see further bullish price action temporarily, right, because of the 1 hour M15 with those current bullish PDAs. So we may see some possible long scalps towards the highs here. But other than that, everything looks aligned for shorts. So once the M15 falls back into bearish order flow, I think will look really good to aim for this sell side liquidity down here and this fair value gap as well. So I hope that's clear. Any questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys next week.